Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses party cadres and leaders on concluding day of BJP's National Convention in Delhi. Says government working on mission mode to make India a developed country by 2047. Munich Security Conference draws to a close in Germany. War in Ukraine and conflict between Israel and Hamas dominates the discussions. Election Commission of Pakistan sets up high-level committee to probe rigging allegations. Committee to submit report within 3 days. Indian women's team beat Thailand 3-2 to win first ever crown in Badminton Asia Team Championship 2024. The annual Munich Security Conference is scheduled to close today. Trump-backed U.S. Republican Senator J.D. Vance and the foreign ministers of Poland and Lithuania were among the participants addressing the annual conference later on Sunday. This year, the war in Ukraine and the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians has dominated discussions during the previous 2 days. Some 50 heads of state and government, among them the presidents of Ukraine and Israel and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, attended the Munich conference. All right, indeed, India's Trent Murray joins us live from Munich. Trent, now final day of the Munich Security Conference. What latest do you have for us?
Yeah, well, it's been a very busy 3 days discussing some of the main challenges and conflicts and flashpoints currently taking place around the world. We know, of course, the situation in Ukraine has featured very heavily. President Zelensky making an address to this conference where he continued to call for more Western military support to try and help him push back that Russian invasion. But it really is a situation in Israel and Gaza which is taking centre stage today. We've just had a panel which was titled Peace in Pieces, the Future of Israel-Palestinian Relations. On that panel included the Palestinian Prime Minister, the former Foreign Minister of Israel, the Deputy Prime Minister of Jordan, as well as representatives from Spain and Canada. No major breakthroughs, as you might imagine, but nevertheless, the real focus of this summit is just to try and dial up the diplomacy somewhat in order to try and just bring down the temperature, bring down the tensions in this war. We also know that Israel's President Isaac Herzog held a meeting with the Prime Minister of Qatar. He said that that meeting was constructive.
All right, Trent, and India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also yesterday discussed issues related to bilateral cooperation as well as those of key global and regional concern with prominent leaders, including U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Could you tell us something about that?
Yeah, that's right. Dr. Jaishankar has been very busy at this summit, I have to say. I mean, I've got a little bit exhausted just trying to follow his schedule. I mean, he's had so many bilateral meetings. Let me tell you who he's spoken with. The foreign ministers of the United States, the European Union, the UK, Argentina, Canada, Germany, Belgium, Portugal and the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina. We know that Dr. Jaishankar's schedule here was one that many world leaders and other foreign ministers wanted to try and get into, because clearly I think what you are seeing is there is an intense interest and a renewed focus on what Delhi's position is on some of these conflicts that are taking place. And certainly Dr. Jaishankar brought a message from India, I think, which is that Delhi is willing to work constructively really on all sides and to try and negotiate peace where it's possible. It's obviously a difficult ask, but nevertheless, I think the fact that he was so busy is just a very clear indication that internationally many countries really do want to sit down and get the perspective of the Indian government.
And, Trent, what all is expected on the final day of the conference? If you could just, give us some update related to it.
Yeah, that's right. So, Israel-Gaza, as I say, was very much the focus this morning. Going into the afternoon, there are two big panels, quite Europe-focused, I have to say. One is about EU expansion. We know representatives from Georgia and Ukraine will speak. Two countries, of course, which are not currently in the EU, but they certainly would like to be. And then the real big summit to sort of conference presentation, I should say, to wrap things up, again, is about the sort of future of geopolitical tensions and Europe's place in the world. We know that that's really coming at a time where there are very real questions here about just how strong the relationship is between Europe and America. Certainly some of that campaign rhetoric we're hearing out of the US, particularly from Donald Trump, suggests that Europe may be somewhat having to do a little bit more on the defence front. And so we know that it's going to have discussions around how it can be a little bit more autonomous and almost able to stand on its own 2 feet if that relationship is tested in coming years.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, Trent, for joining in and for your analysis. Well, India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, who's in Germany for the Munich Security Conference, met with the Foreign Minister of Palestine, Riyad al-Maliki. The ministers exchanged views on the current situation in Gaza. And also, Dr. S. Jaishankar met with foreign ministers of Armenia, Ararat Mirzoyan, on the concluding day of Munich conference. In a post on X, Dr. Jaishankar wrote he is looking forward to take partnership further. Earlier, Dr. S. Jaishankar interacted with the new cohort of the Munich Young Leaders for 2024 in Munich on Sunday. The session took place during the ongoing Munich Security Conference in Germany. Jaishankar urged the young leaders to take a positive approach towards global challenges and seek collaborative solutions. He also shared his perspectives of a changing world. On the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference in Germany, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Saturday held a number of bilateral. One of the major highlights was his meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and with former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Both the leaders exchanged views on contemporary politics. Dr. S. Jaishankar also held a meeting with his Saudi Arabian counterpart Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud and discussed the West Asia situation and the strategic partnership. While meeting his Norway counterpart Espen Barth Eide, Jaishankar said he had a big picture chat with him in Munich. And let's hear more from a correspondent on India's engagements at the Munich Security Conference. But before that, well, Russia, Ukraine and West Asia dominated the discussions on the second day of the conference. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said there is an extraordinary opportunity in the coming months for Israel to normalize ties with its Arab neighbors. He also emphasized the need for the creation of Palestinian state.
The U.S. government is working to secure a mega deal that will see the ties between Saudi Arabia and Israel normalize. During a panel discussion, Antony Blinken said there were genuine efforts led by Arab countries to revitalize the Palestinian Authority so it can be more effective in representing the Palestinians.
I think there's an extraordinary opportunity before Israel in the months ahead to actually, once and for all, end that cycle. And it's because there's some new facts that didn't exist before when there were efforts to make peace between Israelis and Palestinians, starting with the fact that virtually every Arab country now genuinely wants to integrate Israel into the region, to normalize relations if they haven't already done so, to provide security assurances and commitments so that Israel can feel more safe and more secure.
While in Munich, Blinken also met Israeli President Isaac Herzog and discussed efforts to reach a hostage deal. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Saturday lauded the efforts at peace and resolution that U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been putting in through his visits to the region.
Particularly, I think all of us follow the enormous efforts which Tony is putting in right now. We must be clear that what happened on October 7th was terrorism. No caveats, no justification, no explanation. It was terrorism. Eventually, there has to be a permanent fix, a long-term fix. Otherwise, we're going to see a recurrence. And I think today, certainly India has long believed in a two-state solution. We have maintained that position for many decades.
The hostage deal and the humanitarian pause are seen as instrumental in helping advance conversations, which had been frozen in the immediate aftermath of the terrorist attack but have resumed in recent months. The US government is working to secure a mega deal that will see the ties between Saudi Arabia and Israel normalize. During a panel discussion,
Well, as fears mount over the impact of misinformation on democracy, world's biggest technology companies have pledged to fight deceptive artificial intelligence-generated content from interfering with global elections this year. A group of 20 tech companies, including Meta, Microsoft, announced at the Munich Security Conference that they would work together to combat the creation and spread of content designed to mislead voters, such as deepfake images, videos, and audio. The rapid growth of generative artificial intelligence, AI, which can create text, images, and video in seconds in response to prompts, has heightened fears that the new technology could be used to sway major elections this year, as more than half of the world's population is set to head to the polls. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Russian Defense Ministry announces capture of Avdiivka. Palestinian factions to meet in Moscow on February 26.
Where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave valedictory address on the second and final day of BJP National Convention in New Delhi. Prime Minister highlighted his government's achievements during last 10 years. The two-day convention passed a political resolution, Viksit Bharat, Modi Ki Guarantee. Prime Minister urged party workers to work for winning the trust of people in next 100 days.
मोदी जी को जय श्री राम, मोदी जी को जय श्री राम, मोदी जी को जय श्री राम, मोदी जी को। जो युवा 18 वर्ष के पड़ाव पर पहुंचे हैं, वो देश की 18वीं लोकसभा का चुनाव करने वाले हैं। अगले 100 दिन हम सबको जुट जाना है, हर नए वोटर तक पहुंचना है, हर लाभार्थी तक पहुंचना है, हर वर्ग, हर समाज, हर पंथ, परंपरा, सब लोगों के पास पहुंचना है। हमें सबका विश्वास हासिल करना है, और जब सबका प्रयास होगा तो देश की सेवा के लिए सबसे ज्यादा सीटें भी बीजेपी को ही मिलेगी।
Prime Minister also said that India's ties with West Asian countries are passing through one of the best periods.
अभी मैं कुछ दिन पहले ही यूएई और कतर से जाकर के आया हूं। तमाम प्लेसों से हमारे रिश्ते कैसे मजबूत हैं, ये आज दुनिया देख रही है। आज पश्चिमी एशिया के देशों से हमारे संबंध अब तक की सबसे मजबूत स्थिति में। कांग्रेस की सरकारें पूरे वेस्ट एशिया को सिर्फ पाकिस्तान के संदर्भ में देखा करती थी। उन्हें भारतीयों की शक्ति और उनके विश्वास पर भरोसा ही नहीं था। लेकिन आज भारत इस क्षेत्र से संबंधों का नया अध्याय लिख रहा है। पहले लोग सोचते थे कि बस तेल का इंपोर्ट कर लेते हैं और यहां से कुछ लेबर भेज देते हैं ताकि उनको रोजी रोटी मिल जाए। नहीं, अब ऐसा नहीं है। आज ट्रेड, टेक्नोलॉजी, टूरिज्म ऐसे अनेक क्षेत्रों में हमारे संबंध बहुत बेहतर हैं और हम निरंतर विकास कर रहे हैं।
Earlier, India's Home Minister Amit Shah said the overall development took place in the last 10 years of the Modi government.
समग्रता से विचार, हर क्षेत्र का विकास और हर व्यक्ति का विकास करने का काम केवल और केवल नरेंद्र मोदी जी के 10 साल में हुआ है। नरेंद्र मोदी जी के 10 साल के अंदर देश सुरक्षित हुआ, देश समृद्धि की ओर आगे बढ़ा। 60 करोड़ गरीबों को घर देना, घर में गैस का सिलेंडर देना, पीने का पानी का कनेक्शन देना, बिजली पहुंचाना, शौचालय देना, 5 किलो अनाज गरीब को फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट मुफ्त में देना और 5 लाख तक का स्वास्थ्य का उसका खर्चा भी सरकार ने उठाया।
Meanwhile, Bharatiya Janata Party's National President JP Nadda has also highlighted the government's achievements in last 10 years.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में भारत की सांस्कृतिक विरासत को संरक्षित और संवर्धित करने में हमारी सरकार ने अभूतपूर्व तथा उल्लेखनीय सफलता प्राप्त की है। बीते 10 वर्षों में प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की अगुवाई में भारत की आध्यात्मिक विरासत को देश की एकता के साथ जोड़ने का कार्य किया है। धर्म के प्रति अटूट प्रतिबद्धता के जरिए से उन्होंने कई ऐसे कार्यक्रम शुरू किए जो भारत को उज्जवल भविष्य की ओर ले जा रहे हैं।
Well, DD India correspondent Kriti Vadhera joins us with more from Delhi. Kriti, Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked a lot about what all happened in the past 10 years under his government, the achievements. He also said, "Ab ki baar 400 par." So that means 400 seats expected to be crossed in upcoming Lok Sabha elections. Now, what latest are you getting for us?
Well, good evening, Siddharth. And yes, the 2-day National Convention of BJP has come to an end with an exclusive address to the cadre of BJP, to the workers who have been working from last decade rigorously for BJP. And PM addressed these workers, and while he was addressing, the way PM started, it was very poetic. He said that today it is 18th of February and we have to target the youth of the nation, which will be 18 years before this election, and to select the 18th Lok Sabha after the general elections of India, which are coming up. So this is how PM started, and the PM has actually praised the cadre of BJP a lot for throughout their journey, how hard work they have put in to build up the party, and for taking the policies and the schemes of central government to the ground level. And in fact, PM has also given a very, I would say, a wonderful strategy for upcoming elections to the cadre. PM has told the workers of BJP to target for 370 plus votes for each of their booths, where, you know, the last, he has told them to keep a check on their personal booths and to counter the last term vote which that particular booth has taken, and to target 370 plus vote as an individual on their individual booths. And when it comes to 400 par, what you said, that NDA is targeting 400 par, and PM Modi has said that 370 should be the milestone to achieve for BJP workers for this upcoming Lok Sabha election. And yes, certainly NDA would be targeting to cross 400 seats for upcoming Lok Sabha election. Siddharth.
Kriti, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while addressing the meet, also spoke about what will be done in the next 5 years. Can you tell us something about that?
Well, Siddharth, all the speakers, be it the national president, Home Minister Amit Shah himself, or PM Modi, all of them have thoroughly talked about the 10-year-long journey of PM Modi-led government and the achievements of last 10 years and how it has impacted the nation and how beautifully we have conducted G20 and we have built our international relations with other countries. So this all has been talked and discussed thoroughly. And if we talk about next 5 years of plans, see, in next 25 years, India would be entering the Viksit Bharat, the 100th year of our independence. So next 5 years are going to be very crucial for the country. And PM particularly addressed that when in 2014 the government was formed, the economy of India was very fragile. And now we are targeting to become the third largest economy of the world. And most of the things are being made, are being manufactured within India itself. If it comes to mobile phones, digital gadgets, they all are being made in India. So this is how PM focused to these achievements, and he spoke about in length for the next 5 years.
All right.
Yes,
Kriti, Prime Minister Narendra Modi briefly talked about how his government made significant efforts in empowering women and launched various schemes that support women's advancement. Can you tell us something about that?
Oh yes, absolutely. That was a very long segment, which I would say that every female would be proud to hear from PM Modi himself. He very sensitively started with the fact of female feticide, how it was hampering in our nation. But now with Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao, and how it has been accepted on the ground level, and the achievement which we have got in terms of eradicating female feticide or sending girl child to school was discussed here. And not just this, but PM very well addressed the actual needs for in a life of a woman, which is, nutrition values, qualitative food consumption. All this was also discussed. And coming on to education also, PM spoke, in length about empowering females, of making them financially equipped, of, certain schemes where he talked about the self-help groups, not to forget about the 1 lakh Lakpati Didis he has quoted here. So there were several schemes which he spoke in length for females. And of course, the reservation bill, which which was passed in Parliament. So that is also a kind of milestone if we talk about women empowerment in Modi-led government.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, Kriti Vadera, for joining in and for your analysis. Well, the Bharatiya Janata Party released a theme song for upcoming parliamentary election 2024. The title of the theme song is Fir Ek Baar Modi Sarkar.
जन जन की आंखों के सपने लेके चले, उम्मीदों को देखो कैसे नए तीन रंग में रंगा तिरंगा शान से है लहराया भारत माँ के माथे पर फिर से मुकुट सजाया फिर से मुकुट सजाया आंखों से छलके सपने सच करके दिखलाए हैं देश का परचम लहराकर आगे बढ़ते आए हैं नई उमंग है नई तरंग है आशा के दीप जलाए हैं बढ़ना हर उम्मीद के बाद नए भारत की यही पुकार फिर एक बार
बड़ी एक दफा
फिर एक बार मोदी सरकार
All right, let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Well, heavy serves of fireworks, dance and music delighted crowds as the 6 Samba schools hit the Sambadrome venue in Brazil's capital for the all-night champions parade. Dancers in glittery costumes showed off their top-tier dance skills to the attendees. Well, the schools paraded in descending order, ending with the parade of the Carnival champion in the early hours of Sunday, February 18 morning. And this year, the Viradouro Samba School was crowned champion after it won the Sambadrome competition with a performance that highlighted the strength of black women. A sandstorm was seen sweeping across the city of Tumushuke in China's western Xinjiang region. A video posted online showed travelers at a city station immersed in an orange-colored landscape with visibility markedly reduced to less than 50 meters. Well, let's see what's coming up. Well, a two-day 37th African Union Summit concludes today with leaders prioritizing peace, development and integration. Visakhapatnam set to host International Maritime Event Milan 2024 from February 19 to 27. Mumbai Tech Week begins in India's financial capital, Mumbai.
The one common theme between all major cities across the world is hope and the promise of new opportunities and possibilities that gravitates people towards them.
The reason why we advocate green transformations is because you can retain the building and you can actually modify.
There's a lot that happens when you extract sand beyond sustainable limits. It's going to change your course of your river, it's going to widen the channel, it's going to damage, and we are paying a big price.
We have 2 water reservoirs on 84 acres of land. During periods when the river water is non-saline, we store water in these reservoirs. Throughout the year, we distribute this water to residents.
Tiny houses are in vogue. Less is more. Many also assume tiny homes are more eco-friendly.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. In more international stories, Russia said it has successfully captured the city of Avdiivka in Ukraine's Donetsk region. Russian forces inflicted a series of defeats on Ukrainian forces along the 1,000-kilometer front line, after which Ukrainian troops withdrew from Avdiivka. This paved the way for Russia's biggest victory since May 2023 capture of Bakhmut. After the failure of Ukraine to pierce Russian lines last year, Moscow has been trying to grind down Ukrainian forces, just as Kyiv pondered a major new mobilization and President Volodymyr Zelensky appointed a new commander to manage the conflict. And Ukraine's forces destroyed 12 Russia-launched attack drones overnight. One Kh-59 cruise missile and one Su-34 fighter bomber were also shot down. Ukraine has urged allies to send more weapons, as President Volodymyr Zelensky said there is a shortage of weapons in Ukraine on Saturday.
Our actions are limited only by the sufficiency and length of the range of our strengths, but what does not depend on us. And Avdiivka situation proves this exactly. Dear friends, unfortunately, keeping Ukraine in the artificial deficit of weapons, particularly in deficit of artillery and long-range capabilities, allows Putin to adapt to the current intensity of the war.
While Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani reacted on it, saying Italy is ready to offer more military aid to Ukraine, adding Rome had already approved 8 support packages for Kyiv at Munich gathering on Saturday.
Italy approved the package number 8 on military support. I think that they are arriving in Ukraine in these days, and we're ready for doing more. The message to Russia is very clear. Ukraine will be member of the European Union, and then we are working for having Ukraine member of NATO.
US President Joe Biden has termed the existence of NATO as critical for the US. His comments came as he asserted that as long as there is NATO, the US has allies which help it defend to any future challenges. The remarks underscored the urgency of passing a $95 billion foreign aid package for US allies.
As long as there's NATO, we have allies that are competent and have defended us. And by the way, the only time Article 5 has been invoked is when we were attacked on 9/11. So the idea that we're going to walk away from Ukraine, the idea that we're going to let NATO begin to split, is totally against the interests of the United States of America, and it is against our word we've given since all the way back to Eisenhower. So it's about time we make sure that Congress come home and pass the legislation funding NATO. It's critical. Our security depends on it.
Earlier, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that the Commission will present a defense industrial strategy proposal in 3 weeks. And now, update on expansion of NATO membership. Hungary could ratify Sweden's NATO membership at the start of its spring session set to begin on February 26. Hungary is the only NATO member yet to ratify Sweden's application to join the alliance, which it filed following Russia's 2022 full-scale offensive in Ukraine.
Together with the Swedish Prime Minister, we have taken important steps to restore confidence. We are going in the direction that at the start of Parliament's spring season, we can ratify Sweden's accession to NATO.
Well, updates regarding Israel-Hamas conflict now. Israeli President Isaac Herzog met with the Prime Minister of Qatar, who's been trying to mediate a ceasefire in the Gaza conflict. Herzog also urged for the release of hostages to remain a top priority on the world's agenda. He addressed to the audience at Munich Security Conference, where a group of family members of hostages were demonstrating with posters calling for the release of their relatives captured by Hamas. The Egyptian and Qatari mediated talks to try to reach a ceasefire in Gaza and secure the release of over 100 Israeli hostages being held in Hamas have yet to produce results. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he had sent negotiators for truce talks in Cairo as requested by US President Joe Biden, but they did not go back for further talks because Hamas's demands were delusional. He said there was no point in further negotiations until Hamas makes changes to its demands.
This negotiation requires a firm stand. I must tell you, citizens of Israel, that until this moment, right up until this moment, the demands of Hamas are delusional. They want to defeat Israel. Of course, we will not agree to them, but when Hamas drop these delusional demands, we can move forward. We will continue fighting until all goals are achieved.
Well, with an aim to secure Palestinian unity, the Palestinian Authority Prime Minister on Sunday said that Russia has invited Palestinian factions to meet in Moscow on the 26th of this month. He further added that the Palestinian Authority was ready to engage with Hamas. Well, Eiffel Tower will be closed to visitors on Monday as its workers are expected to go on strike, calling for a review of financial management by Paris City Hall. Union members say the Paris City Hall, which owns 99% of the Eiffel Tower operator Cetys Capital, is underestimating the cost of works on the monument planned ahead of the Paris Olympic Games. This, they said, would result in lax maintenance works to the detriment of visitors and put a heavier workload on workers. Shifting focus to Pakistan. The Election Commission of Pakistan has formed a high-level committee to investigate allegations made by a senior bureaucrat regarding extensive rigging involving the judiciary and the top election authorities during polls in Pakistan. Former Commissioner of Rawalpindi, Liaquat Ali Chatta, alleged that the elections were rigged in favor of Nawaz Sharif-led PMLN. Liaquat Ali Chatta on Saturday said the judiciary and top election officials of Pakistan aided the losing candidates to win the elections to the National Assembly. Protests were launched by Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, led by jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan, who claimed the election results were manipulated and their mandate was stolen in the February 8 elections. The committee, including senior election commission officials, will record statements of returning officers and submit a report within 3 days. Well, Thailand's jailed former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra was released on parole on Sunday. Thaksin returned to his family's Bangkok residence on Sunday morning after having completed parole proceedings. The influential billionaire was in hospital detention for 6 months for abuse of power and conflicts of interest. His sentence had been commuted from 8 years to 1 by country's king. Thaksin was eligible for parole due to his age, health condition and time served, and had been detained in hospital on health grounds. Well, the African Union and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations jointly organized a high-level meeting. Both organizations called for actions to increase financial to enhancing climate resilience and adaptation in agri-food systems in Africa. The high-level event on climate finance for agriculture and food security took place in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. And back home, more than 50 countries are going to participate in the 12th edition of Milan exercise, which will be held at India's Visakhapatnam from Monday. The 9-day exercise would be an excellent platform for the participating navies to share ideas to enhance security on the high seas and ensure safety of maritime commerce for growth and prosperity for all. In addition to building bridges of friendship and strengthening of relationship, sea exercise would enhance interoperability, enable exchange of best practices, and will boost confidence to undertake missions together in future to tackle common challenges. Participants are arriving for the Milan exercise in Visakhapatnam. The Sunrise Command of the Indian Navy extends a warm welcome to USS Halsey, DDG-97 and Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer of the United States Navy to the city of Destiny, Visakhapatnam for Milan 2024. The objective of exercise is to ensure the safety of maritime trade for the benefit of all stakeholders. Well, India is hosting a 9-day mega naval exercise in Visakhapatnam, which is set to begin from February 19th. Milan 2024 is expected to see participation of over 50 navies. Indian Navy Admiral R. Hari Kumar said tempo of operation is quite high as 14 Navy ships have been deployed in other operations, which has never been the case earlier.
Both the carriers are going to be there for Milan per se. But the operationalization of the carrier, in the sense the integration to the fleet and participation of the fleet, that is going to happen in 10 days' time. On completion of Milan, the carriers as well as the escort ships, they'll all go to the western seaboard, and we're going to integrate them. Tempo of operation is quite high in the western seaboard right now because 10 of our ships are deployed for anti-drone measures, and another 3 to 4 ships are deployed for anti-piracy operations, which is unprecedented. It's not been this case earlier.
In another exercise, aircraft of the Indian and French navies joined forces over the Bay of Bengal and created a symphony of teamwork and strategy. The Indian Navy shared a post on social media platform X emphasizing the collaboration between the two forces. The invaluable lessons and experiences shared between the crews will strengthen the bridges of India and France's friendship. Earlier this month, Indian Navy and French Navy held discussions on the ongoing naval activities and new avenues of cooperation in New Delhi. While Indian Navy ship INS Sunaya conducted another successful rescue operation on the western seaboard, where an Indian fishing vessel FV Bevina with a crew of 11 relayed the distress call. The crew on the rescued vessel was provided with fuel, fresh water, food and medical care. The fishing vessel was stuck in the waters for more than 48 hours. And as Mumbai Tech Week begins in India's financial capital, former CEO Niti Aayog Amitabh Kant on Sunday addressed the inaugural session of the week-long event. Kant said that India is the youngest country with an average person aging 29, and by 2047 it would be 33.
We are the youngest country in the world. Our average age is 29. And even when we are 100 in 2047, our average age will be about 33. And we will provide 31% of the skilled manpower to the rest of the world. All the skilled manpower to the world will be provided by India. And that's why the model has to be that you disrupt India, do technological innovations, provide models of tech evolution for the 1.4 billion people of India.
Well, at the invitation of India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis will pay a state visit to India from 21-22 February 2024. Greece PM will be the chief guest and keynote speaker at the 9th Raisina Dialogue 2024 in New Delhi. Visiting PM will be accorded a ceremonial welcome at the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and PM Mitsotakis will hold a bilateral discussions. India-Greece relations have been elevated to strategic partnership during PM Modi's visit to Greece in August 2023, and this would be the first bilateral head of state government level visit from Greece to India after 15 years. And let's take a look at other stories making news. The 51st edition of the New Delhi World Book Fair organized by the National Book Trust of India will conclude on Sunday. Over the past 7 days, nearly 15 lakh visitors have roamed the colossal venue, and more than 1,000 publishers from 40 countries have put up 2,000 plus stalls in Bharat Mandapam. The crowd is expected to be higher on the last day, adding that a shuttle service has been arranged to facilitate the visitors and manage the crowd. As a farmer protest at the Shambhu border enters the 6th day, Union Ministers Arjun Munda, Piyush Goyal and Nityanand Rai along with farmer leaders from Punjab are scheduled to meet on Sunday for the 4th round of talks. The farmers who began their march to Delhi have been stationed at the border points since being halted by security personnel. India's Bureau of Chief of Civil Aviation Security has taken a decisive step to streamline baggage handling procedures across major airlines operating in India. Bureau of Civil Aviation issued letters to 7 prominent airlines, urged them to implement necessary measures to ensure the timely delivery of baggage. India's Jammu and Kashmir received fresh snowfall in the valley region. The upper reaches of Gurez Valley and Tulail Valley are covered beautifully in white snow as the region receives heavy snowfall. The traffic movement has also been affected as the roads has been closed for vehicular movement. And still to come on DD India News Hour. India tightened their grip on the third test in Rajkot, set England a humongous target of 557.
The one common theme between all major cities across the world is hope and the promise of new opportunities and possibilities that gravitates people towards them.
The reason why we advocate green transformations is because you can retain the building and you can actually modify.
There's a lot that happens when you extract sand beyond sustainable limits. It's going to change your course of your river, it's going to widen the channel, it's going to damage, and we are paying a big price.
We have 2 water reservoirs on 84 acres of land. During periods when the river water is non-saline, we store water in these reservoirs. Throughout the year, we distribute this water to residents.
Tiny houses are in vogue. Less is more. Many also assume tiny homes are more eco-friendly.
All right, you're watching DD India News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj and time now for sport. Let's begin with cricket. India secured a mammoth victory by 434 runs against England on day 4 of the third test match in Rajkot. India rode on Yashasvi Jaiswal's blistering double 100 to set England a humongous target of 557, and the tourists were bundled out for 122. None of the English batters put up any resistance to the India's spinners. Ravindra Jadeja took 5 wickets while Kuldeep Yadav grabbed 2 wickets to wrap the England innings. Jaiswal propelled India to 430 for 4 in their second innings before the hosts declared. The opener clobbered 12 sixes in his unbeaten 214, equaling Wasim Akram's record of most sixes in a test innings achieved against Zimbabwe in 1996, as well as 14 fours. Jaiswal and Sarfaraz Khan tore into England attack together. They plundered 172 runs off 158 deliveries that allowed India to declare with more than 4 sessions left in the play. India lead the 5-test series 2-1. And we are joined by our correspondent Suchitra for more on this. Suchitra, what a game, what a contest, and what a game by the Indian side specifically, you know, and especially in the second innings with the bat and both with the ball. It's exceptional.
Yes, definitely, Siddharth. India go 2-1 up in the series with this fantastic win. And let me just tell you that this 434 runs victory is India's biggest in terms of the margin of runs, if we don't include the innings win. So it's definitely a memorable win for Team India. And for England, we can say that their baseball has clearly flopped against India because they were trying the baseball till the end. If we look at the innings of Mark Wood, he was still, you know, hitting Indian bowlers for boundaries. But you cannot always depend on the baseball in Test cricket. Test cricket is all about playing sessions by session. And if we can talk about the advertisement by the broadcaster for this particular series, it was all about India claiming to, you know, fail their strategy of the baseball, and this is what Team India has done, and it's a remarkable turnaround for Team India. If you look at this particular test match, India is playing without Virat Kohli, without Lokesh Rahul. Our middle order was so inexperienced, but the youngsters have performed. We look at the double 100 of Yashasvi Jaiswal. Sarfaraz Khan, his long pending test debut has been remarkable, with him scoring a half century in both the innings, and even Jurel also. Dhruv Jurel, he also batted splendidly, which shows that Indian cricket teams future is in the right hands, and 2-1 up in the series, and we definitely would like to capitalize on this and win this series against England. Siddharth.
Well, definitely, Suchitra. Like I was saying, what a game. And, you know, exceptional performance by the bowling unit as well, especially in this inning, in the second inning, where England were completely demolished. Let's talk about Ravindra Jadeja. Let's talk about his spin magic. 5 wickets, 2 wickets for Kuldeep Yadav and 1 each for Ravichandran Ashwin and Jasprit Bumrah. Especially, do you give credit to the wicket as well? Because it's the 4th day, match has ended. Do you think that wicket might have got some cracks which helped the spin bowlers, you know, to get more help from the wicket and, you know, demolish the English side, and that too for just 122 runs, if I'm not wrong. You know, that's something which you can certainly call a demolition of you know, the batting lineup. What a performance by the Indian bowlers.
This was a true wicket, if we can say, Siddharth. And yes, if we talk about Ravindra Jadeja playing on his home turf, he was supposed to perform well, and he has performed well with both bat and the ball. That 100 in the first innings and now the 5-4 in the second innings. Ravindra Jadeja has just lived up to the expectations, and Test cricket is all about the team efforts. You have to take 20 wickets if you want to win a Test match, and that's where the England team has failed, and Indian team has won this match because their batters have performed and their bowlers have claimed 20 wickets. So the credit goes to the whole team, be it Mohammad Siraj, Ravindra Jadeja, Bumrah and Ashwin also. We must appreciate him because he took a break for a personal emergency, but today he knew that the team needed him, so he was back on the ground, and he also completed a 500 wicket haul in Test cricket. He entered that particular club. But yes, every bowler wants that. Apart from the individual milestones, he wants his team to win, and this victory will be remembered by the whole team for the team effort that they all have put in.
Well, you have said it absolutely right, Suchitra. India are now 2-1 up, and let's hope in the next Test match, you know, they come out with flying colours and keep performing the way they are doing. Thank you so much. We'll leave it there. Well, in more good news for India, Indian women created history by clinching their first ever Badminton Asia Team Championships crown with a 3-2 victory over Thailand in Shah Alam city of Malaysia today. The Indian team showed that they were the superior outfit in the final with convincing wins by former world champion PV Sindhu and hard-fought triumph by Trisa Jolly and Gayatri Gopichand and national champion Anmol Kharab, winning the deciding rubber in style to take the team home. It was vintage Sindhu against Supanida in the opening women's singles. She rarely looked under any pressure throughout the 39-minute encounter, winning at 21-12, 21-12 to give India the lead. And the combination of Trisa and Gayatri then doubled the lead for India, winning a nerve-wracking double against world number 10 pairing of Jongkol Fan and Ravinda, 21-16, 18-21, 21-16. Well, it again came down to Anmol to win the deciding point for the team. She wrapped up the match 21-14, 21-9 to send the entire team in a frenzied celebrations. And after the victory, India's Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports, Anurag Singh Thakur, congratulated the team on social media platform X. Nari Shakti leading the way in the Amrit Kal as they come up with another historic victory, making it a Super Sunday. Many congratulations to the Indian women's badminton team for clinching the first ever medal at the Badminton Asia Team Championship, emerging as champions and bringing pride and happiness on the faces of every Indian. My best wishes to all. Let's keep scaling new heights. All right, and that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.